Guys, good morning. Good morning. We are here for another rock and roll episode of the podcast, starting with you guys in just a touch over 2 minutes. And I got to say, I am super damn pumped to be back in the bunker in Vancouver, getting ready to rock and roll. What the hell is going on? It's just started snowing. I don't know how that's possible, seeing it's the 1st of April, but 2nd of April rather, for me. So welcome back to North America. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I do digress. What's going on, people? Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening if it is for you. We're going to be getting rocking and rolling in just under 2 minutes. Guys, let us know if you're coming into this one live in the comments. Look at these guys, these girls, powering in the morning. So good. Hey guys, how was your weekend? Let me know in the comments. What did you do? Did you relax? So important to recalibrate at the weekend. I want to know what you did. Are you coming into this new week feeling charged? Hello, Tezza. The first one in. What, geez, you really set a standard for yourself, don't you, Tez? So good. Pete Moon, what's going on, mate? I love seeing you and your lovely lady stomping around all over the world for in your BBA merch. So good. Hello, Ezzy. Good morning, my friend. I hope you're well. Hello, Bobby Gordon. Consistent as usual is Bobby. Hello, Kenny and Hayes. What are you guys up to? I hope you've had a beautiful day. What do you say? 57-mile cycle today. Jesus. Nice work. Guys, we're getting started in just under a minute. Please say hello in the comments. There's 16 people watching live so far. And what do we got here? Good morning, Nikki. Got to meet the famous Amy Richards. I love that video. So good. Good morning, Facebook user. I've got a feeling that could actually be Kev, maybe. Hello, Jules. Lovely to have you. Fabulous weekend for an old duck. Where's the old duck, Jules? That's not you. Good morning, Burns. How are you, babe? I love having your company. I got to say, Burns, it's like something about when you join, I feel good and fresh. Guys, we're getting started in 2 minutes. Hello there and good morning. How are you guys? So, how's the weekend? You feeling refreshed? I'm super pumped and we're going to get started on another big week inside Better Body Academy. Hello, Tara. Good morning, Steve. How are you? Look at this. Santa's in here as well. The numbers are flowing in. All right. I'm going to bring in our audience on both TikTok, Instagram. We're literally across like every platform that's available to us. So with that note, let's get started on another episode of the podcast. The count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you are sick of those dumbass, stupid diets and unsustainable workout programs. I'm your host, Jay Stewart, and this is episode 193. So we're approaching the 200 episode mark, which is pretty cool. Guys, new week, new fresh tones, a chance to press reset. To all of you who are in Better Body Academy, I want to congratulate you for getting through the entirety of March doing freezing cold showers in the morning. I don't know about you guys, but it was a challenge for me. We did this because we want to do hard things, not just the physical benefits. We want to do hard things because when we do hard things, it conditions us to do hard things on a grander scale. Okay, I'm going to continue. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to be continuing my I was about to say golden showers, my cold showers, definitely through April and beyond. I just think that there's too much upside. This morning, it was snowing. I did not want to do it, but I did it anyway. And that feels to me like I got a win. Hello to the guys on Instagram as well. Love having you guys in here. I also just want to quickly say to those of you inside Better Body Academy, the merch store is open. You can get your shirts, your caps, your jumpers. We've got some new spray jacket, different options on there. Get stuck into it because it'll be closing down soon. All right, let's get into today's podcast. What I want to be talking about here is lessons that I have learned, particularly over the last 5 to 6 years in business that are applicable in a transformation journey and in life, okay? Every now and then, and especially towards the end of the week, remember I'm in Canada at the moment and it's a Sunday for me, I get very reflective, and I was sitting on the couch this morning and actively starting to look for lessons from the week. I think that I don't want to miss out on the learning opportunities that would have come from everything I failed at, everything I sucked balls at, and everything that I succeeded at last week. And so what I do is kind of use Sundays as a way to reflect. It seems to, I guess, have become cool to talk about failure, but how many of us are actually taking the lessons from it and applying it somehow in our life? One of the things that I love so much about health and fitness is that it's so similar to running a business in terms of the mentalities. What makes one person successful in a transformation is exactly what makes another person successful in business, and the two tend to feed each other. Yeah, I think this is why so many successful entrepreneurs are also very active people. Of course, there's exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, I see that to be true. They understand that there is a fundamental set of principles that govern success, and that those principles, success principles from business, trickle down to all of the different areas, whether it is health, wealth, relationships, business. So in this episode, I want to take my reflections and share them with you. I gave myself 10 minutes this morning to kind of quickly brainstorm. I wanted to put a time limit on it. 6 lessons that I have learned in business that I feel have helped me thrive, and then how they might be relevant to your transformation. So let's get stuck into them. Lesson number 1, decide what you want and commit to it. I remember back to 2016, I was going through these like back and forths of I'm going to quit my job and I'm not going to quit my job. And I'm going to quit my job and and I was threatening my boss that if I didn't get a pay rise, I was going to quit. But the truth was I wasn't ready to quit because I had a home loan and not enough funds to cover 6 months off work. And at the same time, I told people that I was a health coach because I was embarrassed that I was still doing the same job for 12 years. The truth was I hadn't committed to either quitting or becoming a coach. I was not all in. Here's the issue. When you waffle on to all your friends and family or anyone that wants to listen, it feels to the brain like you're actually doing it. Does anyone get that vibe? Like the brain tends to think that talking about it is actually doing it, when all you're actually doing is a form of mental masturbation. Many things stop us from making a decision, one of which is fear. And the same would be true if you decided to lose weight and get in shape. I was scared of both failure and success. And I think a lot of people who try to start a transformation, they're scared of both failure and success. Most of us feel like what we do is we don't decide. We stay in a holding pattern and postpone our decision. We don't say, no, I'm not going to commit. We say, I'm just like not ready to commit yet, but I'm kind of nearly there. And we put ourselves in this holding pattern. The problem is we don't need more information to make a decision. We don't. What we need is to jump, to burn the boats. In fact, the word decide comes from a Latin word called decidere, which basically means to cut off or kill off. The more we remain in this indecision, should I do it, should I don't, the more likely we are of killing off a better future. I've come to understand at some point that if you want to be successful in anything, you can try to reduce the risk as much as you possibly can, but you reach a point where you have to take a leap without certainty that it will work out. Do any of you guys resonate with what I'm saying there? Like you did all your due diligence about buying a house or buying a car, and you made sure that you had all the boxes ticked, but at some certain point, you just had to take a leap because you couldn't do any more preparation work. And doing a transformation is exactly the same. Rather than telling everyone about it, it's better to just shut up, tell no one. Had I not made that decision to just take the leap and go full time on my coaching, I may still be in a job at the same position. Nothing would have changed. No lives could have been affected by my work. And I feel like in hindsight, I would have robbed people of a great opportunity. Most of us don't realize that by not deciding, we're actually killing off a potentially beautiful future. Realize that yes, change is going to take time, but the decision to change and fully commit to a healthier future, that can be made today. You might have been on the fence for years, but if you decide today and commit, it's going to take 6 months to a year to really see the positive changes in your life. But the decision to change can be made now. And putting it off is only killing your future. Lesson 2, do what works, not what you feel like doing. It's crazy to me that so many people enroll in a coaching program and don't actually follow what the coach tells them to do. The smartest way to learn and develop that I have personally found is to find someone that's doing or being how you want to be and just model that. Just copy it. Why don't people adopt this? I think what happens is people realize that doing the work is often harder than they imagined, or there is a lot of inner resistance. So instead, they do what they feel like and they think that they're going to get the same result and then complain when the results aren't coming. I've come to realize that what you like doing and what you should do are usually the complete opposite. And that's why we're not where we want to be. Success in life, and for that matter, a weight loss journey, cares very little, as in nothing, about how you feel. It cares little about how you feel. I heard a phrase the other day, which was this: you've got to go slow to go fast. And this hit me. The reason it hit me is because I've become good at lifting weights. That is so ingrained in me because I started at age 10 and I went really, really slow getting the fundamentals right, which 20, 30 years later has allowed me to go very, very fast. Yet I see guys taking steroids, trying to go fast, to go faster, and then ending up just falling off completely. I see people jump on the fitness train. They get all excited about the shiny new object and running around, jumping in between different things, different fads. They're like headless chickens and eventually give up. And so you need to slow down and understand that success leaves clues. And if you copy the actions of the successful people and just repeat them over and over again, you will lock unbelievable compounding results in the future, allowing you to go very fast in the future. But it might feel laborious at the start, trying to learn everything. When you're new and you're going into a gym and you're just trying to find your way around the gym, just navigate, that can just feel really slow. Your workouts can take an hour and a half and it can feel overwhelming. But if you get the basics down pat, in the long term, the trajectory will be so much quicker because you will have developed a really strong foundation. Does this make sense? The problem is, every time you jump to each different new shiny object in and out, and you pick yourself up, that change costs time and puts you back years. So rather than changing your strategy based on what you feel like, don't. Just stick consistent to one thing. Does this make sense? Lesson 3. You need to put in the reps before you see the gains. For anyone that understands the basics of resistance training, you know that there needs to be an adequate amount of work done in a gym to create the changes that we want to see in our body, right? You can't just go in and do 10 squats and have amazingly beautiful, strong legs and there you go. Maybe I've become that kind of old guy, but it seems to me, let me know in the comments, guys, if this is accurate. I don't know. But it seems to me that the kids of today, yes, you TikTokers, they want all the hacks, the cheat codes, the workarounds. But the reality is it's the reason they're not where they want to be is because they haven't put the reps in. They say it takes 1,000 hours of intentional practice to create an expert. I don't know. Maybe it's 5,000, maybe it's 10,000, maybe it's 50,000. It's kind of irrelevant. The point is, it takes more reps than most people are willing to do. This is a reality. I'll give you an example of this. Internal to our business. Coach Aaron, Coach Carly, Coach Mike, etc. I want you to listen up because this example is for you. In terms of reps, I put in years of studying to get into a selective high school, 6 more years to get into university, 4 more years at university, 4 years working as a dietitian, 12 years working as a sales manager, and then another 6 years being a shithouse coach trying to work out how to actually do it before I started seeing results. And then people go, oh, what an easy job. You're in Hawaii just like doing live things. It's like, compare that to the rest of our coaching team who are pretty new at this in comparison. It's going to take a lot more reps until you get to the point where you've got the confidence to just bang out live videos. For most of us, the lack of volume, the lack of reps is the reason that we fail. It's not necessarily that we've done the wrong thing. Often we're doing the right thing, but we just didn't wait long enough for the dividends to pay. People buy investment properties and then hold on to them for an entire lifetime to pay the dividend. Yet when it comes to fitness journey, we want to see the results of today's gym sessions this afternoon. And it doesn't work like that. When it comes to fat loss, the journey is not linear. Some weeks you'll work really, really, really hard, won't you? And then you jump on the scale on a Sunday for check-in, and what happens? The entitled part of you says, I deserve to see weight loss on this scale. And then what happens? You haven't lost weight. Weight loss is like a tug-of-war between you and what you want as the ego and your brain and body and what it wants, which is to keep you alive and not keep losing weight. But if you keep putting in the reps with the right strategy, it'll eventually come off. It just doesn't happen in the pretty linear way that you want to do. Does that make sense? Lesson 4. If they can do it, I can do it. We need to leverage self-belief from other people's results. Let me hit you with what I mean here. I remember back to when I was 16 and I was like getting excited to be able to drive. Although I was excited, I was also scared shitless because I was like, what if I can't drive? What if I don't learn to pick it up? What if I just don't know how? And I remember there's this guy on our street, a lovely guy, but very simple, very unintelligent, yet he drove every day. The way I convinced myself and fostered self-belief in the fact that I was going to be able to drive was to say, man, if he can drive, I can drive. And this is a mindset technique that I've always kept. A few years ago, I remember coming across this idea that I could live a laptop lifestyle and go wherever I wanted and do whatever I wanted running a business. Inside of me, however, I had this repeating voice that was just saying, who do you think you are? Like, why do you think that you can do this? The way I shattered that limited belief and effectively made it come true was by finding other people that were doing exactly what I wanted to do, but didn't seem to be extra special or extra talented. And I used their success to fuel me rather than what the temptation is of me wanting to shoot them down. Now, I had a conversation with one of our clients in the men's group this week. Okay, I'm not going to name the names, but he sent me a message. He said, this was the message verbatim. I saw some guys from soccer yesterday that they haven't seen me in 3 or 4 years, and they asked how I achieved my transformation. Straight up, they asked where I could buy the stuff I've used to achieve my results. I told them about BBA. They didn't believe me. When people win, rather than be inspired by it, we tend to look at their life through our lens and often conclude that, oh yeah, but you know, Erin's different. The fact that she's lost 15, 20 kilograms, she's different. And what we do is we glorify them and we say that they're special or they have good genetics or less problems to contend with. Guys, like if you knew some of the men and the women in our academy that have transformed beyond words and you saw where they started, if you knew their entire story of incredible trauma or bad luck or whatever it is, you wouldn't be labeling them as special at all. Guys like Terry, as an example, started off 30 kilos overweight. He'd never walked into a gym in his entire life. Yet he's now the most consistent guy across both of our academies. So if you switch your mindset to, if Terry can do it, I can do it. If Travis can do it, I can do it. Travis was a drug addict, an alcohol addict that literally was at the bog end of his life and he turned it round. If Travis can do it, I can do it. If Erin can do it, I can do it. And there are so many examples just like this. Lesson 5, we've got 2 to go. We need to surround ourselves with smarter, more successful people. I think that we speak about this a lot. I think it's probably the most important thing a person can do for their own success. To be surrounded by people who are smarter and more successful than them. Most of us are playing well below what we're capable of. And there's 2 reasons that I see. Number 1, we have a fear of failure. So if we push ourselves too hard, we get too uncomfortable and that won't feel good. We also have a fear of success, which sounds weird, but we don't want the people around us, our friends or family, to feel intimidated by us winning. We don't want them to judge us. We don't want them to think that we're better than them. The problem is we're like a fish that can only grow to the size of the bowl that we're in. And unless we jump out of our bowl into a bigger bowl with more capacity to grow, we stay the same. And this is the problem. Does this make sense? What happens is when you jump into a bigger bowl, here's what happens. It's like the invisible ceiling gets raised up for what you're capable of. When you see other people doing, you no longer have the fear of being seen as the guy or girl that thinks they're better than everyone else. In the new bowl, the bigger bowl, you're not the big fish anymore. And when you're not the big fish anymore, you don't have to worry because you're surrounded by people that are successful in their transformation, that are doing the thing. This is why our academy is freaking amazing. You go from playing small and being told by people in your current circle, what's the rhetoric? What do you guys get told? You've tried to lose the weight before, Jimmy. I know, I understand. You tried to do that before. Like, mate, give up. Here's another beer. Come on. People, it's like crabs in a bucket. They're trying to pull you back down. You get involved in our academy and you actually get involved, and all of a sudden you have so much support and you embrace the desire. You'll start to wonder, why didn't I just get involved with the right people earlier? Here's the thing. I love this phrase so much. Winners and losers have the same goals. Think about it. To get healthy, to get rich, to get the job they want, to buy a house. Winners and losers have the same goals. So it's not the goal that separates winners and losers. The difference is in the application. And if you put yourself in the right place to grow, you become like a potted plant with perfect water, perfect sunlight, and loads of fertilizer, and you shoot to the top. But if you stay in that small bowl, you're going to continue to get what you always get. Does this make sense? The final lesson that I've taken, these are the 6 lessons that I could brainstorm in 10 minutes about how business transports over to fitness transformations. And this is, when something is going well, don't change it. Double down. I've learned that usually we don't need to do more things. We need to do more of a thing. You see the difference? Let's talk about inside Better Body Academy. We have our trifecta system. It doesn't matter where you're up to. The trifecta system works. So rather than trying to do more things, okay, I'm going to do the trifecta thing plus all of these extra things, the reason we developed the trifecta system was to simplify it for you. You just need to do more of the thing for longer. We need more focus and discipline, not doing more things and putting more on our plate. And this is why transformations get simpler and easier the further you get. One of the things that success can do is make you cocky or overconfident. Okay? I see this frequently from people that leave our academy after 6 months. They got great results from doing the right things, but those things are not yet turned into a habit. They were just doing them out of willpower and because they had the accountability. So when they leave, the willpower goes down, the accountability's gone, and they go back to doing what they did and then put the weight back on. Here's an example from my business. I know that if I produce a lot of extremely valuable content, I will keep getting inquiries from people to want to work with us. I've done this for long enough to know that content is king. But every time I hear about a new and exciting thing in the industry, it draws my attention away from working on the content, serving our clients, which leads to a decrease in the results. And then I fucking kick myself for not remembering this fundamental rule. You don't need to do more things. You need to do more of a small number of things, the things that are really important. The mistake a lot of us make is we go, awesome, I won the game. Now what can I do differently? When actually the question should be, how can I keep winning by doing the same thing harder, faster, stronger? Here's an example for you. You track your nutrition for 2 months, you lost 8 kilograms, and then you thought, okay, awesome, I won that, I know how to do that now, and then you stop doing it and start eating intuitively, and you end up putting the weight back on. 6 months down the track, you realize that you'd stopped doing the thing that got you the results in the first place. Does anyone resonate with this particularly? The same is true of you doing 10,000 steps, doing your check-ins, posting into the community. We can become what we repeatedly do, unless, of course, we stop doing it. Guys, the great thing about fitness transformations is that they are entry level. And any person can decide that they want to get themselves in shape. Any person. And any person can get themselves in shape. When they get themselves in shape physically, it helps get them in shape mentally, which helps them create an amazing life full of health and wealth and relationships. We call this the ladder to liberation. You start at the body, it goes to the mind, it goes to your life. And I know that any man or woman that commits themselves to the plan we lay out in our academy will have an incredibly better life in 12 months' time. And then it comes full circle. The lessons they learn in fitness start to show up in other areas of their life. They realize that they've got to commit in their relationships, that they've got to commit in their businesses. It starts to actually trickle back down. So this is why for me, getting in shape physically is the entrance point to an overall better life. And I hope you guys can take something out of these 6 lessons that I've paid the price on and applied so that maybe you can benefit. Remember, success leaves clues. You don't need to go and recreate the wheel every time. Guys, this has been the Better Body Academy podcast coming to you on a Monday morning or a Sunday afternoon from this side of the world. I'm your host, Jace, and we'll see you in the next episode. All right, team, what's going on? Good morning to everyone that's watching on live. We're going to leave you Instagram, TikTok. Hope you have a beautiful afternoon or evening. And there we go. So I'm interested in which one. I'm going to read them out again. So for everyone that's going to stay around for a quick discussion on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, quick discussion. I'm going to hit them very quickly. Lesson 1 to 6. Which one hits you? Decide what you want and commit to it. Decide what you want and commit to it. In other words, burn the boats to the old you. That's number 1. Number 2, Do what works, not what you feel like. Big one. Do what works, not what you feel like. Because what you feel like is usually the opposite of what works. Because naturally, we want to do what's easy and what we like, right? Number 3, you need to put the reps in before you see the gains. Are you someone who's, frequently given up 2, 3, 4 months in because you get frustrated about that friction in your results? Oftentimes, you're just in a tug of war and you just need to put in more reps. Number 4, if they can do it, I can do it. This personally is, I think, the most empowering one. When you start to see other people doing things, or if you doubt that you can potentially do something, whether it's a weight loss goal or a marathon, you look at the person and you go, hang on, they can do it, I can do it. And you leverage that. Number 4, you surround yourself with people who are smarter and more successful than you, and then take a good look at what they do. You want to eliminate the people that are detracting your energy. And number 6, when something's going well, stop changing it. Just keep doubling down on it. Do more of the thing. Let your life get simpler, not more difficult. By doubling down, increasing the speed, increasing the conviction that you do it with, increasing the duration. Does this make sense? So 6 lessons there. I hope that there is some value in here, guys. I think that's it for this morning. If there's no comments that want to come, number 1, Carl says, which was decide what you want and commit to it. Yeah, big time. Burn the boats to the old you. I think that's an interesting one, Carly, because that's there's probably a little bit of philosophy in that. In other words, like, you've got to be willing to, in terms of burn the boats, it actually has to be to the old me, to going back ever. As in, it's never going back. Nick says, number 1 is the most important for me. Without intentional commitment, nothing happens. Oh, Nick, it's the truth, bro. It really is. It's the truth, isn't it? Because I think intention particularly, I think a lot of us say, oh, I'm trying so hard. And it's like, I'll give you a tick for your effort, but like, what do you want? I imagine, like, the thing that always comes to my mind is, imagine getting in the car in the morning, right? You get in the car and you turn the engine on and you just you drive out the driveway, but you're not going to work, you're not going to the gym, you're not going to the shop, where are you going? I don't really know. What do you do when you get to the first roundabout? What do you do when you get to the give way sign? You can't follow a route because you don't know what you want. So you've got to commit to it. You've got to be thinking to yourself, look, I want to be 10 kilos down. Now, it's not that you focus on the outcome all the time, but you've got to commit to where you want to be. And to me, that's important. Steve says, when couples do it together. Wasn't on my list, Steve. But I do think that, yeah, absolutely. This goes to the idea that you surrounding yourself with the right person. I did a podcast a couple of episodes ago about how difficult I imagine it would be if you and your partner are not on the one page. And of course, I know that you and your beautiful wife, Burns, are. And that just makes it so much easier. Think about it, right? You're in alignment. What's the alternative? It's like, well, I'm going to cook the dinner that I want to eat because I like it and it makes me feel good. But feeling good's not often equated with what is good. And so one person wants to eat a certain way and be somewhat conscious of what they're putting in their mouth. The other person's feeling emotional and looking at the partner and going, fuck you. And so they pull each other apart. And usually that turns into some level of self-sabotage by the person that wants to win. So I think you're absolutely right, Steve. I think the number 1 decision that is impactful in people's life is who they choose to marry or spend their life with in that case. Number 1 for me, I'm guessing that's you, Kev, but all of them really. Yep. Well, that's what I did at Kev. If that's you, mate. Jules said, keeps doing the basics. The outcome has to arrive. Yeah. Jules, this is particularly true of women. at your age, because what happens is the journey, if you compare yourself to, let's say, even someone like Nick Friend, similar ages, but men have a higher metabolism, a higher BMR, and they'll tend to lose weight quicker than women. That's just like as a general rule. And so it becomes really, really frustrating for women who are comparing against their husbands who don't go through menopause, by the way, and who are comparing against external factors. Your weight loss is generally going to be slower than for men. Not generally, it is going to be slower. And so by doing the basics over a longer period of time and learning to love that process, so super important. Ez says, yeah, all of them, 100%. I would say, Ez, for you, for where you're at the moment, I think you've pretty much burned the boats. I could go through the list again, but I think putting in the reps, and guess what? You do, a lot of people will mosey around and put the reps in over the course of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years. You can fit more reps into a shorter period of time. You condense your failure. And that's the goal for me. It's not that you shouldn't want the success quickly. You should, in whatever you're doing. If fat loss, like if we had the chance to lose 50 kilograms today versus in 5 years' time, of course we're going to take today. No doubting it. But in order to do that, we've got to go through some serious, failures and scrape ourselves back up again. And you think, for example, Jules, what you've been through, weeks where you failed, and each time you fail, you pick yourself up again and you get going again. And this is so important. Xanth says the basics. Yeah. Again, for the same reason, I think with women, they have to remember it's the basics. And also, I think a good point is, and I've had this conversation numerous times over the course of the last couple of weeks with specific clients, is that regardless of what you're doing, whatever your body is showing you back in terms of results, it's telling you where you are. So if what you're getting is like constant maintenance, it's very, like basically what your body's telling you is you're in maintenance. It's telling you that. And so sometimes we just need to really consistently apply those basics and wait a longer period of time. Put the reps in. And what I really find is, Xanth, and I think you're a classic example of this, is what happens is over time, some point in putting the reps in, you get addicted to the process, or it becomes habitualized. Does anyone feel that? Does anyone feel that exact thing? So for me, for example, I was never someone who would just go and walk everywhere, ever. Until I had no choice. So I started walking everywhere when we were in Europe 565 days ago. And at about, I don't know, maybe it was like day 30, 40, I started to actually enjoy the process of working. From doing it, I enjoyed it. Isn't it funny? Anyone watching Pete Moon in the men's group? Anyone watching Pete Moon? Here he is. The waiting game was always my downfall. Yeah, but Pete, have a look at you, right? You said to me, it's going to take a lot to get me into the gym. And somewhere through the process of you detaching the emotion from it and going and doing it, you've started to become a gym guy. Like that happens really weirdly when you take the pressure off yourself to have to get a certain outcome. And instead, just like when people say fall in love with the process, I don't necessarily think that, you're going to fall in love with, I doubt Terry walked into the gym in his very first day and went, fuck, I love this, right? But the problem is, you don't do enough of the reps, you don't get yourself a chance to love it, to habitualize it. And loving it, Pete says. Yeah, exactly. And Ez says, most of the time we are so close to the edge of a breakthrough, but give up before it's about to happen. And as evidence of this, think about, that's a really good point you make there. Think about how we, if you think about where the failure point is, most people you would think, I don't know this for fact, but most people you would think would have a relatively similar level of tolerance to the failure. And when they reach that sort of, like, once the failure is reached, the majority of people give up 10% after they would, or 20% after would, or 30% after would. If you can just hang in the game just a little bit longer, just hang in the game just that little bit longer, it might just be that literally that 1% is where you get your breakthrough. In horse racing, I remember teaching this to our team a while ago. They call it I was trying to think of the name, the winning edge theory. The winning edge theory. Look it up. The winning edge theory is that you don't need to be the best by a long way. You need to just be able to do just a fraction more than everyone else, just a fraction more. And if you do a fraction more, or you're a fraction more consistent, or you give up one less time than everyone else, it pays huge dividends. And the example that was used is the difference between first place and second place in the Golden Slipper or the Melbourne Cup or whatever you want to do it. It can be like literally a photo finish and a nose, an insignificant amount. But the prize money is exponentially different. And it's called the winning edge theory. And this is where you can use other people as like challenging yourself and competition. No, like I do this thing, right? And it's like probably fucking annoying for Claudia, but if we're walking with a pram or the baby, and let's say that I see someone in front of me, the power of one more, Nikki, that's exactly right, bro. Let's say I see like a couple in front of us, and like a younger couple particularly, and they might be 20 meters in front of us, and then I can see the end of the walkway in 100 meters in front of us. I just have this like weird competitive nature that, and Claudia notices it because she speeds up with me, that I have to overtake the person before the path ends. It's just this fuck, like you compete at every level. And it's not because I want to beat the person. It's because I'm trying to kind of challenge myself to, one more push here, one more rep here. That, there is a book that Nick is referring to called The Power of One More. And in the book, he just talks about if your attitude is just one more rep, one more minute, one more minute in the cold shower, one more day in the cold shower, one more time getting up from failure, one more relationship after so many shit ones, one more year sticking in the marriage, that power of one more, I think it's a great mentality. And you know what? The power of one more when you're in the gym is like next level secretive awesomeness, right? Because what you find is when you switch into a one more rep attitude, you'll realize how frequently you're pulling up before your body is actually anywhere near failure. You might have 10 reps on your count, but you're pulling up well short of what you could be lifting, because in your mind you just nominated 10 reps. But then someone says to you on rep 9, and you know this when you got a spotter, I reckon you got 5 more reps in you, and all of a sudden you do 5 reps and you're like, what? Where did that come from? If I was doing that by myself, I'd be busted. The power of one more. I love that, Nikki. Okay, guys. Hopefully there's some value in today's podcast. Love you guys sticking around for a chat after it. Hopefully it's beneficial. Hopefully it's helpful. See you over the course of the week, and I love you all. Chat soon.